I'm Captain Zachary McCormick. I'm a warfighting instructor at the basic school stationed on Marine Corps Base Quantico, and this is everything that a basically trained officer would be taking on a 72-hour field operation. The basic school is where every commissioned officer or appointed ward officer comes to train after their commission or appointment before going on to the Fleet Marine Force. So starting with what's on the body, from top to bottom, this is our Kevlar. This is our standard helmet that we wear. It allows for additional protection, whether in a firefight or just going through any kind of operation or task that involves heavy equipment. We typically wear one of these. On top of it, I have 550 cord, or just parachute cord, that allows me to connect this to any kind of optic that'll mount to the front of the Kevlar, whether it be a night vision optic or night vision goggles that would come to the front. It would come with its own standard list gear in order to attach to the front, and then this would attach to the item itself in order to prevent loss in any kind of situation. On the back, we have what are known as cat eyes, which are just illuminated pieces of fabric on the back of it that allow someone to be able to see the back of someone's head, even if there was no other illumination in either the room or outside. Every Marine will have some sort of PPE, whether it be eye protection, which I currently have stored in the pack, or any kind of gloves. This we'll use anytime that we're handling any kind of heavy equipment, but especially when we're using any kind of weapon system, whether it be our standard issued M4, M16 rifles, IAR M27 rifles, or even heavier machine guns. On my body is our standard issued plate carrier. This is the Gen 2. This is more commonly seen throughout the Marine Corps. In front of it, we have what's known as a kangaroo pouch, which is really just a sewn-on pouch that comes standard with it. It allows me to keep things such as my note-taking gear, any kind of notebook that I may or may want. Also allows me to keep any kind of maps, any other kind of laminated pieces of paper, or any other kind of tools that I may need, similar to this knife that we have here. This one was gifted to me by my father for, I believe, for my 21st birthday. It has additional paracord or 550 cord looped around it in case I ever need to use it to build a shelter or use it for any kind of emergency situation. It has a serrated edge that allows you to cut through rope more effectively, and then a sharper knife and then the point at the end. I try to teach that every Marine has some kind of knife, multi-tool, or something. It's just handful in any kind of situation you may find yourself in. Up here is the hose for my hydration system. It attaches to the back of my flak with an external hydration pouch in order to have a water source on me whenever I may need it. Also on my body is our standard issue gas mask. It allows me to keep it on my person to be able to pull it out at a moment's notice. It attaches to my face. I clean it out. This is in order to be able to train against any potential seaburn threat. Seaburn being chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear. You'll see in front I have kind of cami netting in order to be able to camouflage and conceal it when we go on the tree line, when it may be wearing it, maybe not, but it just in order to break any kind of line of sights, any other kind of shapes that are unnatural to the environment, and allows me to have a better concealed position regardless of whether or not I'm wearing it. Taking it off, you'll see that it's actually two different packs that are attached together by clips that we have here. On top of what's known as an assault pack or a day pack, I would use this typically to store any additional gear that I couldn't fit any in my pack naturally, but I would also use this for any kind of 24-hour or shorter patrol or field operation. Inside, I usually keep an additional water system. This is a smaller water system we use for physical training or even shorter patrols. I also have an administrative pouch right here that allows me to contain any miscellaneous stuff. In here, I have what's known as the TBS Student Field Guide. Any other knowledge that we've taught here at the basic school can usually be found within this guide. This is just used as a quick reference manual. I also keep additional tools, knives, multi-tools, things like that in here. On top of a red lens headlamp. We usually try to keep it on as a red lens. That way it just minimizes our signature if we ever need to use it. If I'm using heavier weapons or if it's a range or any kind of thing, I usually carry extra ear protection, ballistic eye pro. It needs to be ballistically rated, can't be any kind of reflective surface. It's just not gonna protect your eyes if any kind of shrapnel or ammunition will come flying your way. 550 cord, I try to keep at least 50 feet of it cut into different kind of strands when possible, and then an additional roll in case I need to build a shelter, tie something to another object. I have additional pouches so I can still carry additional water sources on top of the 3 liter camel pack that I carry with me. Typically, wherever a Marine goes, it will usually take 3 to 5 liters of water just on their person. Speaking of water sources, This is the standard issued canteen. It'll fit within a canteen pouch. And then we often use Nalgene's as well as additional water sources if we want to take more than what was standard issued. We always coach using some kind of tape or other additional camouflage. Kept in here is usually where I keep my food. That way if I need any kind of food like quickly on the go without having to pull anything else out of my pack. Here's a meal ready to eat, or MRE, that has everything. I think it has roughly about 1,300 calories per standard MRE. In case to here will have everything that'll be needed for a normal meal, whether it be everything from your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats included in here, as well as some additional sugars to keep morale up. On top of that, it has its own heating system in order to heat up the main meals and other things contained in here, where you just add water, slip it in a pouch, and it allows it to, a chemical reaction to happen that'll allow it to heat up. Alternatively to that, you'll commonly see these around the armed forces, and this is a jet boil. I do not have a gas can with me, but it'd be set up similar like that. The pilot light would ignite the gas in order to heat up whatever kind of liquid or material I would have in here. And it just allows me to heat my food a little bit more conveniently. Not everyone will bring those out to the field just because it takes up a significant amount of space in your pack. On this side, I usually keep like a hygiene kit of something similar to this. This way it's kept all neat, keep it organized in the pack. I'll usually bring things like sunscreen, ibuprofen, foot spray, and able to maintain my feet if were wet or cold, to keep my feet dry. I usually keep shaving kit as well as baby wipes in there, and toothbrush or any kind of ointment that I may need when I'm out in the field. That way, if I have any kind of like quick cuts or bruises, or I need to wipe off cami paint real quick, I don't need a Corm or any kind of external support. I have that stuff on my person. I can keep myself in the fight for much longer. Up at the top is what we call the brain pouch. Usually what I store in here are either extra pieces of equipment or quick replenishable things I need to have, like extra batteries for a headlamp or my night vision optics. Colder weather gloves, so these are issued typically for the cold weather environments. You can still operate your weapon systems with these. They also come with glove inserts that go along with them. It just keeps your hands colder, prevents hypothermia when it's all together. As well as any other kind of additional eye pro. These are more of a goggle set of eye protection. This is usually better if you're operating with aircraft because it seals to your face and prevents any kind of wind or gusts to fly up to your face if you're trying to board an aircraft or work around aircraft. Here's a field first aid kit, otherwise known as an IFAC. Inside is where I'll keep tourniquets. It's where I'll also keep combat gauze, H bandages. I've also taken a quick reflective blanket. This is a good use to be able to use for signaling, but also if it's subdued within a sleeping system, which we'll get to later, an additional source to be able to retain heat in the event of emergency, or I just need an extra warming layer. This is either known as a fighting load carrier or load bearing vest. It's the same nomenclature either way for the same system, but this allows me to wear something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more expeditionary if I don't want to, or if I'm working in an environment that allows me to not have to use a plate carrier, or if I'm trying to go lighter or stealthier in a given mission. But it'll zip up and allows me to carry anything on my flak that I normally have, whether it be a magazine pouch that'll contain 2 magazines. They're standard issue to issue 3 per Marine for 6 total magazines. That's standard issue across the Fleet Marine Force. And 2 mag pouches for the M67 fragmentation grenade. But I could attach it in MOLLE on. Also, if I'm ever trying to operate in an environment where I need a little bit more stealth rather than force protection, I'm allowed to do so. This also will separate. And then if I undo these straps here, it'll turn into its own individual belts. We commonly call it a war belt. The reason I would do this is if I wanted to take any other additional items that I could MOLLE, and by MOLLE I mean attach it through these kind of straps here, and it would allow me to carry any of those pieces of gear on either this war belt or this plate carrier, or even on some places on the pack itself. I will also carry at least 2 smaller waterproofing bags. What I'll usually keep in here is any other kind of changes to clothes, warming layers as well. The normal warming layers we issue, this is a beanie that works as a type of soft cover. in colder environments. It covers both my ears as well as the front of my forehead. Proper use of the uniform covering the hair in front of my face as well. Also, as far as other warming layers, this is what's known as the waffle top. This is supposed to go along with your base warming layer that you would have with your uniform that you'd be wearing.
Does that keep you warm?
I think it keeps me warm. At the very least, it allows me to survive when it gets colder like this. But this will typically use as the second or third layer when you're wearing your clothes. This will be serving more this type of material, or known as the frog material. You can see by the logo here. This will serve as more of the undergarment layer, and that purpose is not really to keep you warm. It's more to keep moisture and everything wicked off your body. So if you're moving around, you're sweating, and then you stop, this is meant to be able to wick that away off of your body, and that way you have the other warming layers to keep you warm, but you're not staying cold and damp. This is in order to be able to prevent that. Both of these come in top and bottoms. As you'll see here, this is the frog top. Just a long sleeve shirt of the same material. And then these are the waffle bottoms. These will go underneath your normal camis. So you'll have the base layer, which is usually like the shirt or the frog material like we see here. And then it'll go the waffle material, and then you'll have your normal camouflage Marpat uniform on top of it. And then additional to that, this is our waterproofed rain gear. These are Gore-Tex material. These are the bottom, these are the trousers. And then this is the Gore-Tex jacket top.
These, you've used these in the field. Are they waterproof? Do they work?
They're waterproofed enough to where any of the clothing I wear underneath it will usually not get wet unless I get like submerged in water. But this is pretty effective in keeping me dry, and therefore when it gets colder out like it is now, it's gonna prevent me from developing hypothermia. It also traps heat inside. So if I wear this, it allows something, if I'm already damp, to help me dry off a little bit quicker. But this is something akin to the fighting load carrier, which you already saw. It has additional pouches. This also is where I will keep things like my additional map gear. It allows me to keep maps in here as well, similar to the kangaroo pouch that's on the fighting load carrier. It has additional pieces on the side as well for knives, and an additional pouch here to keep other kind of, I usually keep writing utensils, but again, batteries, additional flashlights, just additional stuff I can carry. This is the E-tool or entrenching tool. I can take it out, unfold it, and then tighten it. Typically keep it laid out like here, or I can unscrew it, keep it at a 90-degree angle, and it makes it easier for me to actually dig trenches if I use it in this kind of motion, rather than as like a normal spade that's seen before. On the edges, you'll see that it is serrated. It allows me to chop through any kind of roots, any kind of rope, or saw through any kind of branches and whatnot if I need to build a shelter or dig a fighting position. With this, I could dig an effective fighting skirmisher's trench, which is a hole that's about 2 of my Kevlars wide and then about 6 feet long, or however long the individual fighting in it is.
How long does that take you to dig a skirmish position?
So the hasty skirmishers, if I don't care like about the dimensions or keep to uniform, I can make an effective one in roughly 10 to 20 minutes. Now moving on to the sleeping system, we really have 2 options issued with the Marine Corps that will always come in some kind of waterproofing bag. The first part is the external layer of it. This is what's known as a bivy sack. It's a waterproof sack that unzips. It has a netting here to be able to see out of or be able to zip up, especially if it gets colder or I want to prevent any kind of bugs or anything from getting inside of it. I can zip this up, and it will be a sleeping system that goes all the way and encompasses my entire body. This is what's commonly known as a whoopee, but it's the internal sleeping system. It's the smaller portion of it. And we also have the brown bag of the sleeping system. This is our medium weight sleeping system. The way that this will work is I'll have this already unzipped and laid out. I'll stuff this inside of the actual bivy sack. Or alternatively, if it's hotter and I don't want the full insulation from this, I can just use this. And when I lay inside of it, I'll zip up this system, and then I'll just lay inside of it fully zipped up.
How does that work? Pretty well?
It insulates me very well, but it does it a lot better if I use this mat that we have here attached to the bottom. If I lay this out, it creates a buffer between me, my sleeping system, and the ground. With this on top of it, it insulates me from the losing heat through my back when I'm laying on the ground. This is effective in keeping my stuff waterproofed. If I have it all in the bag, I can undo it and lay it over my gear, tuck it in. All my stuff is now relatively waterproofed. With it, I can also alternatively use the bungees on the end of it, as well as either tent stakes I can bring out with me, or sticks or something I can improvise, or 550 cord in order to be able to attach it to other trees and whatnot in order to be able to create a hasty shelter with it. We also have an alternative sleeping bag, otherwise known as the black bag. This comes with its own separate waterproofing system. The reason why we call it the black bag, it's black. This is much more insulated than the brown bag we saw earlier, but it works exactly the same way with the bivy sack. We'll put it in so it's waterproofed. This can keep me warm through freezing temperatures. So officers will typically take the M4 carbine rifle, or as you've seen in training here, the M16 rifle. They also have the M27, which is our new automatic rifle system. So this is the Model 3 Hotel standard issue compass that we issue at the basic school and a standard in the Fleet Marine Force. Here, if you see the face of it, it has all different markers to have two different kind of denominations of how it's measuring the distance, whether it be degrees, 0 to 360, or in mils, 0 to 6400, which is used for coloring artillery fire. This item right here that I'm spinning on the face of the compass is known as the bezel ring. You'll notice the illuminated piece here that allows me to see it at nighttime. It has nuclear material in it that allows it to illuminate regardless of the conditions that we're in. What this allows me to do is to be able to navigate at night. Each one of the clicks here denominates 3 degrees as I turn it relative to starting on 0. Also part of it is a glass here. And then if you look very closely, you'll see a string that goes across the center plate on the compass. What this allows me to do is to adjust it up like so, bring the compass to my cheek, and be able to call what's called shooting an azimuth. This allows me to sight in my compass, and as long as I look down at the eyepiece on the compass, match it up with the degrees to the line here, I know exactly that I'm moving at a certain degree. So like, let's say if I wanted to shoot an azimuth of 20 degrees and walk 20 degrees from where I'm at, I would line it up to 20 degrees on the compass, shoot it up, align it with an object that matches with 20 degrees, and then I would just move towards that object. The thumb ring allows me to better stabilize the compass as I'm using it. And then here is a scale that allows me to make measurements on my map. If the scale is 1 with every 50,000 meters, it means 1 meter to the map and scale would equal 50,000 meters if it's zoomed in. If I had 1 in 25,000, it means the map would be a lot more zoomed in. And every item here is what we use in order to teach lieutenants to train to the standard and have success in the Fleet Marine Force.
So you're all about packing things back up as soon as possible.
Yes, so like as it has it out right now, we're doing it for demonstration purposes, but me taking something out and not immediately putting it back in my pack it's going against the training that we have here. Because like, for example, if all of a sudden a firefight broke out, all of my stuff's out, and now I'm having to worry about either leaving it or taking it like I should and dealing with combat.